Hey boys and girls, how is everybody doing? Today is Thursday, so hopefully you've gotten a pretty good start on your HMH work. Before I get started on our book today, today's book is called Iggy, Peck, Architect. And so before we read this book, what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to just remind yourself of what you need to be doing for my class. So the first and the most important thing you need to be doing is, of course, HMH. You have 3 assignments on HMH and you need to do each one of those. You have a video, you have a book to read online, and you have a quiz. I'm taking grades, so you have to do those. If you finish those, of course, you're going to check into Google Classroom each day, and then I'm going to be posting writing prompts. So the writing prompts now are going to be they're going to be as a Google form. So each day on Google Classroom, you'll have a read aloud to listen to just for fun. And then you're going to have a writing prompt, and I'm going to have to take grades on the writing prompts as well. So you need to be getting those done too. And then if you finish your HMH and if you finish your Google Classroom assignments and you've done your writing, then you can go on to Achieve 3000 and you can just do whatever articles you want so that you're doing something each day. So that's what you need to be doing for me. And I've noticed that some of you guys have already finished. So if you've already finished, great job. I'll be sure and give you a shout out with Mr. Knox on Friday. So keep up your hard work. I'm very proud of you. And we'll begin our story. So before we begin, I want you guys to think, do you know what an architect is? An architect is a career path that you can take, and an architect is actually somebody who builds buildings. You have to use a lot of math, you do a lot of drawings and a lot of computer work, and you build cities, you can build roads, you can build houses, you can do whatever, you can build anything if you're an architect. So this story is called Iggy, Peck, Architect. I also want you guys to notice there's a little bit of rhyming in the title. I'm going to take off the cover. Okay. Young Iggy Peck is an architect and has been since he was 2, when he built a great tower in only an hour with nothing but diapers and glue. Good gracious, Ignatius, his mother exclaimed, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. But her smile faded fast as a light wind blew past, and she realized those diapers weren't clean. Ignatius, my son, what on earth have you done? That's disgusting and nasty. It stinks. What do you notice in this story? It's a type of figurative language. Oops. That is already, I'm seeing like a pattern, some kind of pattern. But Iggy was gone. He was out on the lawn using dirt clouds to build a great sphinx. When Iggy was 3, his parents could see his unusual passion would stay. He built churches and chapels from peaches and apples and temples from modeling clay. What kind of character is Iggy? What is he like and how can you tell? Use your context clues. Make an inference. At dinner one night, to his father's delight, Iggy got a bright gleam in his eye, and out on the porch built the St. Louis Arch from pancakes and coconut pie. Dear Ig had it made until 2nd grade when his teacher, Miss Lila Greer, on the very first day, she had this to say, "We do not talk of buildings in here." Gothic or Romanesque, I couldn't care less about buildings, ancient or new. She said in her lecture about architecture that it had no place in grade 2. Boys and girls, I want you to stop and think. We're starting to see the problem show up. What's the problem of this story? That might seem severe, but she was sincere, for when she was no more than 7, she'd had a great fright at a dizzying height in a building so tall it scraped heaven. On an architect's tour on the 95th floor, young Lila got lost from the group. Oh, what do you think happened to Lila Greer? And do you think that has an effect on why she doesn't let architecture? She doesn't allow that in her classroom? She was found 2 days later in a stuck elevator eating cheese with a French circus troupe. And after that day, it's quite safe to say, she thought all building lovers were nuts. As a teacher, she taught that above all, one ought to avoid them, no ifs, ands, or buts. There's our answer right there, huh? As you might have guessed, it would cause Iggy stress to hear such terrible talk. But he didn't hear, he sat in the rear while building a castle of chalk. You, Iggy Peck, your desk is a wreck, tear down that castle right now. You will not build here, is that perfectly clear? Do you need to see Principal How? Oh, so boys and girls, what's happening to Iggy? What do you think's gonna happen next? No, ma'am, Iggy said. He lowered his head and his heart sank down to the floor. With no chance to build, his interest was killed. Now second grade was a bore. Maybe you felt that way, like what you love to do is not allowed to do in schools. So maybe you can relate. Maybe you can make a text-to-self connection with Iggy here. After 12 long days that passed in a haze of reading, writing, and arithmetic, Miss Greer took the class to Blue River Pass for a hike and an old-fashioned picnic. They crossed an old trestle to a small island nestled in the heart of a burbling stream. But they no sooner passed than the footbridge collapsed, and Miss Lila Greer started to scream. We're trapped here! Oh my! Alas, kids, goodbye! Her eyeballs rolled to the back of her head. She dropped to the ground with a vague groaning sound, luckily fainted, not dead. Oh gosh, well that's kind of scary. What do you think's gonna happen? I want you guys to use your context clues to make an inference or a prediction, kind of what you think Iggy is going to have to do. The class was alarmed. They stood there quite dazed, uncertain of what they should do. But one young bright man was off hatching a plan which started with Miss Lila's shoes. Soon each lad and lass there at the Blue River Pass was working together as one. Looks like Iggy's able to use his gifts to help save his teacher. And when she came to, Miss Lila Greer knew that something quite brave had been done. She looked in the air and saw hanging there a structure with cables and braces. And on the far side, beaming with pride, were 17 smiling young faces. Boots, tree roots, and strings, fruit roll-ups and things, some of which we should not mention, were stretched ridge to ridge on a glorious bridge, dangling from shoestring suspension. It all became clear to Miss Lila Greer as she crossed that bridge over the stream. There are worse things to do when you're in grade 2 than to spend your time building a dream. Now every week at Blue River Creek, elementary and second grade, all the school kids can hear along with Miss Greer how the world's greatest buildings were made. The weekly guest speaker in t-shirt and sneaker talks of buildings from Rome to Quebec. Of course, he's the guy who builds towers from pie, that brilliant young man, Iggy Peck. So boys and girls, I want you guys to think about this book that we just read. So yesterday, I had you guys make a plot diagram for the story we read, or the video you watched, which I hope you enjoyed that video. But then today, I want you guys to think about this story. What was the problem that Iggy Peck faced, and have you ever faced a similar problem? So in the comments below in this in Google Classroom, I want you guys to watch this video, and then I want you to comment if you can make a text-to-self connection, if you've ever felt like Iggy Peck and what you did to overcome your problem. Let's see, I'm trying to think what kind of connection I have to Iggy Peck. And what I'm thinking is that when I was in elementary school, probably second grade, I always wanted to play some kind of music. And you know, teachers, I'm even guilty of this, don't love it when you sing in class, right? they just don't. So I felt like I couldn't express myself musically. Well, then in 3rd grade, we had this man come to my school, and his name was Mr. Burkpile, and he offered to teach kids orchestra music. So finally I had an outlet for music, and it was acceptable to express myself through music that way. And then I didn't get in trouble in class for singing anymore. And that man really helped me express my musical, like what I felt musically. So maybe you felt like you've been kind of stifled, which means you couldn't express yourself, and maybe you somebody helped you, a grown-up or another friend helped you be able to express yourself. So in the comments, make a text to self connection. Don't forget that you have another writing prompt today in a Google form, and your writing prompt is going to say something like, if you were an architect, what would you build, how, and why? So that's what you're going to answer. Do those things for me, and of course make sure you're doing HMH. That's the most important thing, and then your writing prompt. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. I miss you, and I love you so much. And tomorrow's Friday, we're going to have a special guest reader. So be sure to watch our video tomorrow.